Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael. Honestly, it means a lot to stand here with you tonight. Before I jump in, do me a quick favor. Look at the person to your left. Now the person to your right. Really look. Statistically, 2 out of 3 of you will spend the next 40 years stressed about money, stuck in jobs you don't love, watching the calendar for a retirement that might never come. That's the bad news. The good news? You don't have to be one of them. I've spent years not just building my own financial foundation, but also digging into the habits of people who've made it to the top. What I found is financial freedom isn't about luck or being some kind of genius. It's about having a system, a real mindset shift. And honestly, it all starts with one moment that changes everything. Back when I started out, I had a choice. I could see these millionaires and feel like I'd never catch up, or I could forget about the millions for a second and aim for something smaller and more real. Just that first $10,000. That's what I focused on. Tonight, I'm giving you the exact 3-step blueprint I'd use if I had to start from scratch today. We'll talk about the 4 real ways to make money, how to pick the right skill, and the 4 pillars that turn a side hustle into real wealth. So let's get into it. Most people overcomplicate all of this. They see a friend cashing in on crypto, so they jump in too. Some guru online flashes a fancy car, so they try day trading. They chase the next big thing, and they wipe out. Why? Because those plays need either a ton of money up front or lottery-level luck. And let's be real, you probably don't have stacks of cash sitting around. I don't even believe in luck. I believe in skill. Starting from zero, you don't need to gamble. You need a tool. Something that doesn't take much to get started and actually brings in money, over and over. Strip away all the hype, the shiny distractions, the confusing courses, and really there are just 4 basic ways to make money. That's it. I've watched people win and lose at every single one, and I can tell you, the choice you make here matters. It shapes how fast you grow, how big you can go, and whether you burn out or actually break through. Let's talk through them. First up, selling in-person services. I know what you're thinking. You've heard this before. Personal training, driving for deliveries, dog walking, cutting hair, cleaning houses, photography. It sounds basic, right? Maybe even boring. But don't write it off just yet. What you do in high school doesn't really matter here. Don't brush this off, though. These kinds of services are one of the quickest ways to start making money. There's barely any barrier to entry. If you've got a skill and maybe a couple of tools, you're ready. Forget about building a website or designing a fancy logo. You don't have to run ads. Just step outside, find someone who needs what you do, and offer to help. I've seen young entrepreneurs do exactly this. They'd head out to the wealthier parts of town, not looking for the dirtiest cars, but for houses with perfect lawns and, oddly enough, a dusty car sitting in the driveway. That was their sweet spot. Their thinking was simple. If someone cares enough to obsess over their garden, they probably want their car looking just as sharp. So they'd knock, offer to wash the car, and walk away with cash just a couple of hours later. No fuss. But here's the catch. In-person services tie you down to your local area. Sometimes business is booming, and other times it's dead quiet. Plus, you can only serve one person at a time, so there's a hard cap on how much you can earn. You can hustle harder, sure, but you're still trading hours for dollars, and there are only so many hours in a day. These gigs are perfect for getting your first real taste of earning, but you hit a ceiling fast, and it can start to feel like you're stuck. Now let's talk about selling local products, things like home-baked treats, handmade crafts, art, or fresh veggies at the farmer's market. It's a totally different ball game. You have to make the thing before you can sell it, so the money doesn't come in right away. I've watched people dive into this full of excitement. They'd buy cheap model kits, spend hours building and painting them, and then try to sell them at local clubs or markets. Pretty quickly they hit a wall. The work's fun, sure, but the payoff? Not so much. The cost of supplies eats up most of the money, and there just aren't enough customers nearby willing to pay what you need. At best, you're selling to a handful of people. So yeah, it's a great way to turn a hobby into a little extra cash. But if you're aiming for your first 10 grand, it's slow going and pretty limited. Then there's option 3, global products. Think launching a clothing brand, drop shipping, print on demand, or coming up with your own product to sell worldwide. And this is where things really open up, because now your market isn't just your town, it's the whole world. I've seen people get so fired up about this that they hop on planes to partner with manufacturers and bring their designs to life. But here's the real talk. It starts out slow and kind of painful. Physical products mean you're tied up in a cash flow loop. Sell 10 shirts? Great. Now you need to spend that money to make 20 more. Your profits keep getting sucked back into production, shipping, and keeping your shelves stocked. It can take months before you see things finally take off. But when it does, you've basically built a money machine that keeps running, even while you sleep. It's one of the laziest ways to earn that actually works. You just have to be patient, have some money to invest, and not panic when your cash disappears into inventory for a while. Which brings me to my favorite, selling online services. Pay attention to this one, because honestly, it wasn't even possible 20 years ago. The internet changed the rules. Now you can offer copywriting, video editing, thumbnail design, ad management, social media work, web development, you name it. The list goes on and on. Here's where online services really shine. You get the best of both worlds. On one hand, you can work with clients anywhere. Think sitting in a London coffee shop while helping someone in New York. That's the kind of reach you only get from selling products. On the other hand, you're looking at profit margins that blow most product businesses out of the water. With products, you're lucky to keep 20 or 30% after costs, and even then you probably have to put a chunk of it back into the business. With services, you're talking about keeping 70 to 80% of what you make, right from the start. Honestly, all 4 options work. Any of them can get you to 10 grand. But if you want my real answer, if I had to start over today and get results fast, I wouldn't even think twice. I'd go with online services. So, what do you actually offer? How do you pick a service that works for you? This is where most people get stuck. They freeze up, convinced they need to become an expert before they start. Some people spend years learning, but never actually do anything. That's backwards. You don't need to be the world's best. You just need to be good enough to help someone. Start with 3 questions. First, what are you already pretty good at? Maybe you write well. Maybe you have a knack for design. Maybe you love figuring out new tech. Second, what do you actually enjoy learning about? You don't need to be an expert yet, but you should be curious. Third, what are the problems businesses face over and over again? Where those 3 answers overlap, that's your starting point. Here's the thing. Don't pressure yourself to be perfect. Set your prices a bit below the going rate at first. You're not trying to get rich off your first client. Your goal is to get experience, a testimonial, and a real case study. Prove to yourself and to others that you can deliver. Now let's talk about turning a simple service into serious income. Doing the work is just one part. The real trick is how you position yourself. I call this the skill pyramid, and it's got 4 parts. Nail all 4 and you break through. Miss one and you're stuck at the bottom, working hard for not much money. First up, positioning. Every online service isn't equal. The big money isn't in just doing tasks. It's in solving problems that actually make businesses more money. If you know how to think like a business owner, you're ahead of the game. Think about it. If someone runs a business bringing in 50 grand a month, and you can fix a problem for them for 2,000, a problem that helps them make even more, they see it as an investment, not a cost. They're happy to pay. Businesses always have problems. They need more customers, smoother systems, better marketing. Those issues never really go away. If you shift from just being someone who does tasks to somebody who solves real business problems, your value goes way up. That's how you stand out. Let me throw out a few ideas to get you thinking. Don't just edit videos for random small YouTubers. Go after entrepreneurs who need high-converting video ads for their products. Stop making thumbnails here and there. Aim to become the go-to thumbnail designer for an established creator who cares about clicks and a consistent brand. And writing? Forget churning out cheap articles for content mills. Put your energy into optimizing landing pages. One tweak in your copy can bump up sales by 10%. This isn't about picking up tougher skills. It's about getting yourself, both physically and mentally, where the real money's flowing. Next up, leverage. You're never going to hit 10 grand if you keep trading hours for dollars. You've got to stop charging for your effort and start charging for your results. Businesses don't care how hard you work. They care about what you deliver. Say you're running Facebook ads. If you charge by the hour, you're stuck. The client just wants you to work faster, so they pay less. But if you charge based on ROI, maybe a percentage of ad spend or a flat fee for every lead, you change the conversation. Now the client's thinking about how much they're making, not what you cost. When your work actually puts cash in their pocket, they're happy to pay you more. It's the same story with social media management. If all you do is schedule posts and answer comments, anyone can replace you with a cheap intern. But if you can prove your strategies are driving more engagement, more leads, more sales, you turn into an asset, not just an expense. The moment you shift from pitching, "Here's what I do," to "Here's what you get," you'll notice people are way more willing to pay. Now let's talk about reach. This is where a lot of people trip up at the start. They think they need to chase down clients, make endless sales calls, blast out cold emails. Sure, that can work, but it's exhausting. The real move, the one you want to be making from day one, is to set things up so clients come to you. Let me give you a quick story. Not long ago, I needed a graphic designer who could make movie-style posters. So I did what anyone does. I hit up TikTok and searched for people making those posters. One guy showed up everywhere. His videos dominated my feed. I messaged him about his rates, and he told me he was just posting designs for fun, not even a side hustle, just something he enjoyed. A few weeks later, his inbox exploded with people asking to hire him. He circled back and asked, "How do I actually get paid for this?" I helped him set up a basic system, and now he works for me and a bunch of other clients. He never chased anyone. He just put his work out for the world to see. That's what you need to do. If you edit videos, show before and after clips. If you design thumbnails, break down why yours get more clicks. If you're learning social, document how you grow an account from scratch. Put your work out there. You never know who's watching or what might happen because of it. Last thing, automation. Here's the hard truth. Most people who try to start a side hustle or business never really get off the ground. It's not because they aren't talented or smart. It's because they aren't reliable. I've worked with hundreds of freelancers, copywriters, designers, developers. 95% promise the moon, then disappear or drop the ball. They ghost you, miss deadlines, or deliver rushed work at the last minute. What actually makes you stand out isn't raw talent. It's good old reliability. The people I keep paying, year after year, aren't always the best in the business, but they're the most organized. They never miss a deadline. They communicate clearly. They make working with them easy. Being good at what you do is one thing. Being reliable, that's what gets you paid again and again. So, how do you actually pull this off? The most successful people I know don't trust their memory or scribble things down on whatever scrap of paper's nearby. They rely on systems, automation, tools that actually keep everything organized. You need something that helps you remember who you talked to, what they wanted, and what you're supposed to do next. You need a way to schedule calls, set reminders, and stash all your notes and files in one spot. That's where a customer relationship management system, a CRM, comes in. There are some great ones out there. They make it easy to see all your opportunities at a glance. You can track your expected revenue at every stage. Set reminders so you never miss a follow-up. At the end of the day, clients don't just want someone who's good at what they do. They want someone reliable. Be that person. All right, let's say you've made your first $10,000. You've proven you can do it. Now what? Here's where most people trip up. They make a little money and all of a sudden they feel rich. They buy the new iPhone, book the fancy vacation, lease a car that's really out of reach. Fast forward a year, and all they've got to show for it are some photos and a stack of monthly bills. Honestly, I don't care how much you're making. Until you see at least $1 million in your bank account, stop throwing money away on status symbols. The supercars, designer clothes, wild nights out, none of it matters if you can't turn your income into real, lasting wealth. There's a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich means you've got a high income. Wealthy means you actually keep your money. Rich people see money as something to spend. Wealthy people treat money as a tool to make more money. So how do you get there? How do you become wealthy? You invest. You put your money to work. Picture a scale sitting in front of you. On one end, you've got safety. On the other, risk. I'll walk you through the 4 main spots where I put my money, starting with the safest, most boring options, all the way to the ones with the biggest risks and rewards. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing what's worked for me and a lot of others. Always do your own research. Let's start with the foundation, a high-interest savings account. Honestly, high interest is a bit of a joke. 3 or 4% isn't exactly thrilling. Sure, you can find better rates if you lock your money up, but I hate that. I want to get to my cash when I need it, not just on some random Tuesday. And I know what some of you are thinking. Michael, this isn't even investing. It's just holding cash. Fair enough. But cash on the sidelines is your financial airbag. It keeps you from having to sell your real investments at the worst possible time. Picture this. The market tanks. It's happened before, and it'll happen again. If you don't have any cash saved and something goes wrong, medical bill, car trouble, whatever, you're forced to sell your stocks at a loss. That's how you lock in bad decisions and destroy your wealth. A high-interest savings account is there to catch you. It's not about big returns. It's about having a buffer, so when life throws a punch, you can take it and keep moving. Second investment, index funds. You've probably heard the line, it only takes the price of a coffee a day to become a millionaire. That's possible because of index funds and ETFs. I've seen people build serious wealth just by sticking with simple, boring, long-term index fund investing. It's the lowest maintenance way to grow your money. There are tons of index funds out there, but the big one is the S&P 500. That's basically the 500 largest public companies in the U.S., bundled into a single investment. When you buy into an S&P 500 index fund, you own a little slice of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and a whole lot more. It's diversified, it's cheap to own, and over the long haul, it's gone up. Over the past decade, the S&P 500 has averaged a 10% return. Let's break that down. If you put just $5 a day into the market, maybe skip your daily coffee, from age 18 to 67, and you actually get that 10% return, you end up with over $1 million by retirement. That's compound interest working its magic. That's what patience can do for you. And hey, if you don't want to wait until you're 67, just invest more. That's my advice. Put in as much as you can, year after year. The market rewards consistency. Let's talk about individual stocks next. This is where things get interesting. If you're starting out and don't have a ton of cash, picking stocks can actually make investing feel real. You get to dig into companies, check out their financials, try to spot the winners and avoid the losers. Back when I started, I found the whole process exciting, reading up on business models, figuring out if something was undervalued. Honestly, if I hadn't put my own money in the game, I doubt I would have ever cared enough to really understand the market. Stocks are risky, no doubt. One bit of bad news and a stock can drop 20% overnight. But if you're only putting in a little, it's a good way to learn how markets move without risking everything. The upside? With individual stocks, you feel the gains directly. So if you pick something like Nvidia and it takes off, you see those returns front and center. Of course, you also feel it when things go the other way. It's always a trade-off. Now, on to crypto. When Bitcoin showed up, most people I knew, myself included, thought it was a scam. We trusted stuff you could touch, property, shares in companies with offices and actual people. A digital currency with no central authority seemed wild, but I kept an eye on it. Over the years, I watched people buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Looking back, that move paid off for a lot of them. Some made real money. Sure, altcoins and meme coins can make people rich overnight, but they can wipe you out just as fast. For every wild success story, there are thousands who lose everything. Crypto's more accepted now, but you've got to be careful. Go slow. Use dollar-cost averaging. Buy a little every week or month instead of betting it all at once. Crypto swings like crazy. If you can't stand to lose the money, don't put it in. So that's the plan. Start with a service. Put yourself where the money flows. Use leverage to break out of trading hours for dollars. Build your reach so clients come to you. Automate your systems. Become the one people rely on. And when the money starts rolling in, don't blow it. Build your safety net. Feed your index funds. If you're curious, try higher risk stuff only with what you can afford to lose. That first 10 grand is the hardest. It's the proof you're different. It's the key to the rest of your life. Once you do it, you know you can do it again and again. That's how you build real, lasting wealth. So the real question isn't, can you? It's, are you going to start tonight? Hey, thanks for tuning in. If today's talk clicked with you, share this video with someone who'd get something out of it. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to Investor Voice so you stay in the loop with all our strategy sessions. Tap that bell so you're part of our community. People building a better future, step by step. I'm Michael from Investor Voice. Catch you in the next one.